Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at Gold Mythic Eugene 2000, who is going to be an ultra token character coming to RTS. Visually he looks absolutely insane. He is going to be from the obviously Skybound X comics. He's going to be joining the Skybound X2 Allegiance, and like I say, visually absolutely insane. I don't even know what's going on here. I don't even know what's going on. Very Doc Ock in terms of the visuals, but it's very much based on the comic book representation of this character. On the left hand side, the art is immense. We thought that who was it? Michonne 2000 was crazy. Yeah, this is next level. This is next level for sure. His gun looks just absolutely insane on the left hand side as well. That like kind of like optics there, it's just crazy. If we look at the stats, as a level 1440 character, limit break 3, he has got 28,240 attack, 22,897 defense, and 25,187 HP. He is a tough character, of course, that is holding effectively a rifle, I guess. He is considered a controller, and then of course Gold Mythic, and lastly he is going to be joining the Skybound X2 Allegiance, of course. He's going to be that second character coming in as part of the Allegiance. We're bound to see more, of course, going forward. But this guy is going to be what seems to be the ultra mythic character of the Allegiance. Now, first off, we'll check out his Adrenaline Rush. It is called Weakness Exploit. It is a 66 AP cost rush. All enemies affected by main damage get crosshairs for 2 turns. Make a critical attack against 2 enemies for 250% damage each. Now, obviously, he's most likely got MAME in other parts of his kit. It's a bit of a giveaway, but that is actually pretty cool. That means that anyone who is already affected by MAME is going to be getting the crosshairs, and that's everybody. So, like, let's say however many characters on the defense team have got MAME, they're going to all get MAME. You know, that's actually pretty good. He's going to make 2 double crit hits against 2 enemies. So it does obviously play into like his special skill in terms of what he's going to get back off that. If he has any passives that obviously will rely on him getting crits. And also if his weapon relies on him getting crits, he's going to get actual bonuses here. Now because he's a control character, they actually do have a better chance to hit crits against the likes of Rick teams. They can reduce the critical hit resistance. It'll go from 50% down to a 10% chance. So he'll have much less chance of Eugene actually being resisted on those crit hits. So this is guaranteed, so he doesn't have to be built for crit to actually land this. Okay, so we have got the Adrenaline Rush up of Eugene, and we have got MAME on one character. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to also get MAME on a second character. Someone like Kapoor. It doesn't matter how much MAME you do. We don't have a lot of HP on Kapoor, so he's not going to do much MAME. And then I'm going to focus Lee with the Adrenaline Rush. We'll see where the other crit goes, but watch the effects on these characters. Actually, I'll actually focus this guy, because we should take him out. And it looks like we're going to be able to take both of them out. And that's a double decap, because they already had the MAME on them at the beginning of the rush. It has to be before he does the damage. It would be crosshairs would come in before. So you've got to make sure that there's already MAME on the team that you actually want to get the decaps on. And we obviously saw he looks crazy on the battlefield. Absolutely crazy the amount of space he's taking up. We can see on the upgrades for his Adrenaline Rush. At grade 3, the AP cost is reduced to 66 from 75. At grade 5, it is a +1 attack target. So initially it is just 1 target. And at limit break 2, you get an upgrade where all enemies affected by MAME damage get crosshairs for 2 turns. So initially it's just like a 1 character target rush. Pretty weak, but obviously it gets upgraded as you go. I would say obviously that the crosshairs on the MAME is quite nice, you know, especially if you are running a MAME-ish team. And I will say that Eugene has got more MAME in his kit, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem when it comes to applying MAME to the enemy team. The rush, as it stands by itself, doesn't seem that spectacular, honestly, just because it does rely on other parts of the kit we're going to see. But I kind of, do think it's good based on what else I've seen in his kit because of the MAME that he can apply. He can potentially get MAME on a lot of characters. You can have other characters that do MAME, even very small amounts of MAME. Even if someone's got like a MAME weapon and all they do is hit a crit and they do a little bit of MAME to someone, they're going to get crosshairs. Decaps are very, very powerful because revives are you know, more powerful now, because a lot of the power on defensive characters' kits is in their signature moves, and when a character gets revived, they can still do a signature move. They can't rush, but they can still do a signature move. So keeping them down with a decap is extremely powerful and quite a requirement, honestly. And don't forget that maim damage also bypasses bonus HP. So if you do apply maim damage, it doesn't have to go through the bonus HP first. So all these very heavy bonus HP teams are kind of just still going to take massive amounts of maim damage. Now we'll go across to the signature move next to see how some of this maim gets applied, and it's called Calculated Demise. Initial cooldown of turn 1, cooldown of 3 turns, number of uses unlimited. Make a critical attack against an enemy for 300% damage. 2 enemies get 10% of all living enemies max HP as maim damage. That is going to be interesting, because what you can potentially do, if I'm seeing this right, you can have characters like Nor and characters like Peacekeeper on the same team with their 130,000 plus HP, and then you can target the person who's got 50 or 60k, and it will give 10% of the overall number, and that will do massive amounts of main damage against that character with low HP. It would still do good damage against like the Nor and Peacekeeper, but you know, obviously main is flat damage. It is a, you know, percentage based. But this is going to be interesting. We'll have to see how this works. I'll try and do a quick maths, like how much HP has this defense team got, and I'll tell you before I do this. And I'll guess roughly how much damage it should do before I do it. Okay, so we're going to attack this defense team right here. The total amount of HP this team has is over 400,000. And that means we should be doing 40,000 plus. I think it'll be like between 40 and 42,000 damage in main to basically whoever we select. This is good against certain characters like, let's say, Sebastian Milton, because Sebastian Milton can obviously do quite heavy resist on defense and stuff. We're just going to do it. In comes the main damage, and you're going to see huge amounts of main damage come out. 40k, 40k. There is a little bit extra, I think, on Sebastian, 54, and that's because other parts of Eugene's kit have procced. But you can see the kind of damage output on turn 1 that Eugene can potentially do. The more HP a defense team has overall, the more problematic it is for the characters. And obviously it bypasses defense, as proven by this, because he's got a 400% defense buff and absolutely got wrecked. Now if we look at the upgrades on the signature move, we can see that it gets +1 main targets at grade 2. At grade 4 it gets 150% extra damage, so it originally is just 150% damage crit. At grade limit break 1 it gets +5% main damage, so initially it's just 5% main damage of the overall HP of the limit enemy's team. And then at limit break 3 it gets -1 to starting cooldown, so it goes to turn 1. Now do remember, it's the living enemies max HP. So let's say you've halved the HP of all of the living enemies, it will still be the same damage as if they were full HP. But if you have taken out, let's say, 3 characters, then the damage will be reduced, because it's based on the amount of enemies that are alive, not based on their current HP. So it's just worth taking into account. On the first turn, it should be maximum damage every time, you know, because unless you've got a character that does initial damage before the fight starts, or someone somehow gets taunted and then one-shot somebody, that could potentially reduce the overall damage. But otherwise, it's going to be pretty good. It's going to be pretty good, especially against these beastly HP teams. Teaming up the likes of Nor and Peacekeeper may backfire for defense teams going forward. So that's actually a pretty interesting idea, I think. Now, before we continue with the video, guys, we're going to be doing a giveaway for Ultra tokens. One winner will take away 10,000 tokens for themselves to use on Eugene 2000 or any future Ultra Mythic Will that gets released. All you have to do is type in the chat MAIM. I would definitely make it as part of a bigger sentence, just so that YouTube doesn't spam out your comment. If it does spam your comment, you don't actually find out, and I won't necessarily be able to unblock it in time, and your entry will not count. So make sure you do type MAIM as the entry phrase. Try and make it as part of a bigger sentence, like I say. Best of luck in the giveaway. The draw for this one will be on Monday, the 3rd of October on my live stream, so stay tuned for that. Now back to the video. Okay, next up we're going to look at Eugene 2000's Mythic Abilities, and of course he's going to have Precision as the first passive because he is a control character. That means enemy resistance is a 40% lower against this character. That it does include that crit resistance, like I said before. Exposed wounds is the next one, 50% critical damage multiplier. This is going to help offset the fact that he is not a damage roll character, so he's not going to be getting agility, but he's going to be getting extra damage from exposed wounds here to just amplify those crits that he's going to be doing. Next up is exponential power. When performing a critical hit, 100% chance the target takes 25% of their max HP as main damage. This is actually nuts. This is actually nuts because you potentially will just take down a target with 4 crits. If you manage to crit, you know, them that many times, you don't necessarily even have to have that high damage to get that done. So you could make him really tanky and, you know, be a character that just takes out characters, you know, HP quite a lot. That's going to be really good against payback characters as well, because that's below the threshold of payback proccing. So you'll be able to reduce, let's say, Peacekeeper's HP without any chance of proccing it. That's actually kind of cool. Next up is mechanical defense. When performing a critical hit, 100% chance all teammates gain absolute defense and reduce reflected and counter damage to 0. So this is more if he does his signature move and crits against someone like Peacekeeper. He will reduce, obviously, the counter damage down to 0. This is exactly the same as Kenny, but it's only when he performs a critical hit, and he has to hit a crit. Now, he will obviously not have to have any issues with Peacekeeper's passive because he'll reduce that down to 0%. But if Peacekeeper is in a Rick team, he will have a 10% chance to resist. So a little bit of a risk there, at least on his signature move and his rush. 0 risk when it comes to the basic attack, because the basic attack will not do enough damage even to proc payback. It will do enough damage, however, to proc bite. So you've just got to be careful there. Okay, so here we are. We're going to test out the basic attack here, and we're going to do it against Nor. And we should do quite significant just off a basic attack. We're not going to do the signature move. And you're going to see the basic attack come in. And we're going to do 32,000 damage in main. This is really high. And unfortunately, it is worth noting that the damage from the attack is going to come in first. Then the main damage is going to come in. So it's just going to be like overwritten effectively. But now her max HP is reduced. And this is nice for based on, you know, things like her healing, that sort of thing, in terms of the bonus HP she can give out from her specialist skill. This is quite good. If I did it against Peacekeeper, which I'll do it now, you'll see a crit come in, and it does the same. Now, it will build Bide, but it will never proc payback. It's impossible to proc payback with the main from his passive because it's 25% of his max HP. And if you do proc Bide with a crit or with his, you know, rush or his signature move with the crits, it will always reflect to 0. However, if you proc Bide with the main, then or payback with the main, it will still reflect because it's, you know, being reflected based on the main damage. So you still got to be careful to a certain extent against this character, because obviously, you know, problematic. But against someone like Nor, seems to be very good. Like just straight up hard counter to Nor pretty much in terms of like lowering her max HP to make her bonus HP output from her specialist skill reduced if you don't manage to take her out. And you're most likely going to be able to take her out. Very good against these like alert defense teams by the looks of things. Now we'll look at the upgrades on the passives, and you can see that the first half of exposed wounds is going to come in. That's going to be 20% critical damage multiplier. At grade 2, this first half of precision is going to come in, and that's going to be the first half of the reduction to resistances. At grade 3, the second half of exposed wounds is going to come in, and that's going to be a 50% total critical damage multiplier. So obviously, like I say, it's going to make up for the lack of agility. At grade 4, the first half of exponential power is going to come in. 50% chance target takes 25% of their max HP as main. So you are going to have to get the second half to make it a guarantee, which we're going to get in the limit breaks. At grade 5, you're going to get mechanical defense, and that's a 50% chance all teammates gain absolute defense and reduce reflected and counter damage down to 0. That's just worth noting as well. You're going to have to get into limit breaks again to actually get those maxed out. Limit break 1 comes in, precision 2 comes in as well. 40% total on the reduction. That's good against tanks. It's good against Rick lead. And then we've got limit break 2. It's going to go up to a 100% chance that when he crits, he reduces the max HP by 25, or at least he does main damage equal to 25% of the max HP of a character. And at limit break 3, mechanical defense 2 comes in, making a 100% chance all characters get absolute defense when Eugene hits a crit attack and there's any sort of reflect damage at all, including Eugene on Bide. So like it works for him solo, and it also will work for the entire team. Exactly like Kenny. If you've used Kenny, you should kind of understand how it works. But it's purely based on when he hits a crit, whereas Kenny's just when he actually procs the actual reflect. That's the only real difference there. So overall, I think his passives are very nice. They're going to be very useful. The passive with the maim, when he crits, does stack with his signature move. As you saw before, when I attacked, was it Sebastian, we did 40k's worth of maim based on his signature move, but then we also did an extra like 14k based on his passive. So it seems like that the passive calculates the overall HP when you first attack, not what the HP is left over, because I don't think he had 60k HP left over. I think he had 60k HP total, so that is actually pretty interesting and worth noting there. Now the last part of his main kit is Guardian 2, pretty basic specialist skill, very understandable. Everyone knows how this works. It's very good. It just basically gives out 2 Guardian shields if he hits a crit. It can only proc once a turn, so if he does multi-hit, it is still only going to be able to do a max of 2 Guardian shields if it procs once. But it'll go to the 2 lowest HP characters. As we saw in those tests, Eugene was one of those characters. He is a damage dealer, even though he's, you know, a control role, he's going to be damage. And you probably are going to build him for damage as well. But you could potentially build him as a tank. That's why I say I think there is potential there. It's not impossible. So it's going to be interesting, honestly, to see what people do with this character. But the Guardian 2 is just a nice little cherry on top, just to create survivability for your team. And yeah, I like it quite a lot. Now the last thing that Eugene brings to the table is his crazy weapon. I wasn't using this throughout the test, just so you know. And it is Eugene's 2000s Savage Laser Cannon. It looks really cool on the left-hand side. It looks really cool here. And it says it's got 40% attack, a huge bonus to AP when attacking. So this is kind of, you know, great. In the third slot, it has a unique special, AP against maimed. When attacking an enemy with the maim status, this character gets 50% of their max AP. This does mean if you have another character that has maim and you set up Eugene to attack a character on turn 1 that has maim on them already, he should get a turn 2 natural rush. He should. And that's actually really good. And then he gets the improved 1535 that I believe was also on Shane's roadmap weapon. And this is obviously just going to amplify his attack. He is going to get extra crit chance here. This is going to help his basic attacks. But by the sounds of things, if you do set it up properly, he's not going to do a basic attack until turn 3. And by that point, a lot of characters will be in a lot of trouble. Let's put it that way. A lot of characters will be in a lot of trouble. I'll just show you how it works, just so you can see. But AP gain is going to be good. And this is basically like he's almost commanding himself at this point. Okay, so we're going to just show you how this weapon works. We're going to just proc it by putting maim on someone with Kapoor. If I can get his signature move off, there we go. Very low maim. It doesn't matter how much it is. 1 maim will be enough. And now we can use the signature move of Eugene. And what we're going to do is we're going to do massive amounts of maim damage, but we're also going to gain AP because we're hitting a target that already has maim on them. I normally would gain 35 AP from a signature move, but I gained an extra 33 as you saw because Eugene gets 50% of his max AP. I could command him right now to rush. I could naturally rush the next turn. There's a lot of pretty cool things here. It is worth noting that on his rush, I didn't actually mention this before, there's no way to proc payback when you rush with him. There's only a way to proc payback when you do his signature move, because that's the only thing that can potentially do more than 30% of Peacekeeper's max HP. Or even like Andre's max HP. So if we rush, we'll proc payback at best with the crit, as you saw. And that's going to go into the bonus HP, but you saw the zeros come back. So that's just worth noting. So this was Gold Mythic Eugene 2000, and like I said, he is going to be an Ultra Mythic recruit, and that means he's going to be available on the Ultra Token wheel with Ultra Tokens. If you do want to get yourself some Ultra Tokens, make sure you enter that giveaway that was in partway through the video. Do make sure you put the comment in the comments down below. But Eugene as a character seems pretty interesting. He's bringing new things to the table, pretty exciting. Potentially this could expand how certain damage types work, even defense types work in the future. We'll have to wait and see. Something to think about at least. Something new. It is always nice. And visually he looks, he's got quite the presence on the battlefield, let's be honest. He takes up so much space. It's kind of nuts actually. But what are your thoughts on Eugene 2000 as a character? What do you think about his visuals? Let me know in the comments down below. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.